Hi kids, welcome back. We're looking at Lesson 8. Lesson 8 is about marbles. Marbles? What are marbles? Do you play with marbles? This boy here is very good at playing marbles. Look at his thumb. It's up here like this. And you can see the marble here. The marble is a round piece of glass. It's not that big. Okay? A marble is usually that big. But the camera, it's close to the camera. It's close, so we see it really big. But usually, a marble is only about this big. Okay, about that big. And you hold it in your hand, and you shoot it with your thumb, like that. And that's what he's doing. Marbles. Let's learn about marbles. In our book, we have a table of contents. A table of contents. A table of contents shows us what the book is about. Each chapter, each section has a subject, right? So we will look at these different subjects, and these are the page numbers where we can find these subjects. So in this book, we are going to learn about early marbles. Early marbles, marbles from a long time ago. Okay, that's the first subject. The second subject is making marbles. Making marbles? How do we make marbles? How are marbles made? That's on page 4. Marbles everywhere. That's interesting. We'll talk about how many people play marbles in the world. And it says everywhere. Maybe it's everywhere in the world. The next section is playing marbles. Playing marbles. How do you play marbles? Remember the picture of the boy? He's shooting the marble. Well, how do you play marbles? What games are there? So playing marbles, that's on page 8. And finally, collecting marbles. There are many kinds of marbles. You can collect them. If you find a special marble, or wow, it's very rare, not common, you can collect and keep those marbles. That's on page 10. And finally, we have an index. An index? What's an index? In many books, you can find an index at the back of the book. An index is a list of important words, names, places that were in the book. And on that list, you can find the word, and it shows you the page number. Where was that word? So if you find some interesting words, or you want to remember some interesting fact about a person or a place, look in the index. It's in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, E, so on. And it will show you the word you're looking for, or the name, and the page number. Then you go back to the page number and you can read about it again. So indexes are very helpful. Okay, let's begin with the book. Let's begin with our first subject. We're on page 2, and we're talking about early marbles. That's what we found in the table of contents. So early marbles, early marbles. Early means like a long time ago. Have you ever played marbles? Have you ever played marbles? I don't know about your generation. Maybe you play marbles. I think kids your age usually are playing video games, right? But people play marbles, even now today. Sometimes I hope you go outside and play. Playing marbles is a good game to play outside with your friends. Marbles is a very old game. It's very old. People played it for a long time, but you can still play it today. People have played marbles for thousands of years. Have played. We're talking about something that people have been doing for a long time. People have played marbles for thousands of years. People have driven cars for hundreds of years. Well, about 100 years, really. Not hundreds, 100 years, right? People have fought in wars for thousands of years. We're talking about things that people, not nowadays, but for a long time, what have people done? What do people do, right? For a long time. So we use have played. People have played marbles for thousands of years. And many people play marbles today. So if we say quaggle, right? Quaggle, past tense. They have played for thousands of years. That's past tense, have played. But if you're talking about now, 지금, right? 지금에, we play marbles today, every day, especially habit. We play marbles today. We play marbles all the time. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, we play marbles. We just use present tense, play marbles. Did you know? 재미있어 fact. Something interesting. Marbles have been found in ancient Egyptian tombs. Wow. Have been found, that means it happened a long time ago, or it happened before, and it happened a few times. Have been found in ancient Egyptian tombs. What is a tomb? A tomb is a place when a person dies. Their friends, their family, the people who knew them, they put their body in a special place. It's like a grave, but graves are underground. Tombs are like buildings above ground. They're like buildings for the dead person, the people who died. Now, ancient Egyptian, how long ago is that? That's going back 5,000 years. That's going back a long, long time. One more zero. 5,000 years ago. Can you imagine that? That's really, really long time ago. And marbles were used 5,000 years ago. Wow. Marbles have been used for a very, very long time. Okay? People have played marbles for thousands of years. Okay. Why the name marble? Why is the name marble? Well, think about this. Marble is a very hard stone. Do you see this rock here, this marble? It's perfectly round. It's very smooth. But it comes from a rock. It's a very special rock. Think about buildings. If you go downtown to your city, look at the big office building. Go inside the office building. On the floor, sometimes the floors are very shiny and smooth, and they're made of a rock that has a pattern like this. Wow, it looks very nice, very expensive. That's marble. Also on the walls, sometimes, of nice buildings, they also have marble walls. So office buildings, hotels, luxury apartment, they will have marble on the floors, sometime on the walls. And this is a stone that is used. And these were used to make marbles. That's where the name comes from. So marble is a small toy, but it's also a type of stone. So that's where the name comes from. Early marbles were often made of this stone. This is where the name comes from. That's where the name comes from. It was made from this stone, so it's called marble. That's why we call it marble. Of course, these are very expensive because that stone is very expensive. However, nowadays, today, most marbles are made of glass. So, making marbles. How do we make marbles? A long time ago, marbles were made of stone, especially marble. But nowadays, especially marble is very expensive and it's not very common, right? Glass is not expensive and it's much more common. So today, most marbles are made of glass. They are usually made by machines. Made by machines, not a person. We don't have thousands of people making little marbles. No, just one or two or a few people use machines to make many marbles. Of course, most things that are made today are made by machines. Made by machines. If you go into a store, all the toys are made by machines. All the furniture, most of the things in the store are made by machines. Okay, not by hand. The other word is made, whoops, what is going on here with my pen? By hand. If something is made by hand, that's one person made it with his or her hands. That's more expensive because it takes a longer time. Nowadays, most things are made by machines. Now, it's made by machines. It goes through a step-by-step process. A step-by-step process. P-R-O-C-E-S-S. Step-by-step process. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, Step 4. There are 4 steps, step-by-step process to making marbles from glass by machines. Step number 1. Broken glass is melted. Think about that, broken glass. So when you drink a drink from the store and the bottle is made of glass, you drink it once and throw it away? Then what happens to it? Well, maybe you throw it away, it breaks, or you put it in the garbage, it gets broken, right? But that's not the end. We can use that glass again. So we take that broken glass and we melt it. Melt it. Melt is when you take something that is solid, that is has a shape to it, and you heat it up, right? You put it in an oven like that. This is all the broken glass. He's putting it in the oven. It's very, very hot. What happens? The glass melts. It becomes a liquid, like water, right? So right now, it's a solid, like a stone, right? Like something hard. You put it in an oven, it melts, it becomes like water. And then you can shape it. You can change the shape, right? So broken glass is melted. The melted glass, it's still like water. It's pushed through a tube, this tube here, and it's pushed through the tube. When it goes to the tube, it cools down. It's not hot, so it becomes a solid again. It becomes hard again. So, but it's shaped like the tube, round like the tube. It comes down the tube right here, and it goes into the roller. It rolls around, and as it rolls, it loses heat. It becomes harder, right? But now it's rolling around, right? The small pieces drop onto a roller. The roller rolls them into round balls. That's how they become a ball, like the globe, right? A perfect circle, a 3D circle, right? That's how it happens in the roller. Wow, it's really easy, right? You just pour the glass here, goes into the roller, becomes hard, and it rolls around, and it becomes a smooth and polished glass, one marble. Okay, number 4, step 4, the final step. The round balls of glass are marbles, and you can see them here. Wow, they're really cool looking. And look, there's so many different colors, many different styles, and some are big, some are small. A big marble is probably about this big, right? About that big, okay? That's a really big marble. Most marbles are about this size here, about this size, okay? But sometimes you can have bigger marbles, right? Small marbles and big marbles. And it depends on how big is the roller. And you have many different colors, and sometimes you can see through them and their colors inside. They're very beautiful, made of glass. They're really cool. Okay, so those are marbles. So we've looked at how long marbles have been played with, and we've also seen how to make marbles. Okay, well, I'll see you next time. Let's wrap it up here. I'll see you next time. Hey kids, welcome back. We're continuing to talk about marbles. Marbles are everywhere, everywhere. People all over the world like to play marbles, all over the world. That means everywhere in the world. It's the same as all around the world. All around the world, all over the world. So all around, we saw that before. All around the world, all over the world. Like to play marbles. Around the world, over the world, in many different countries, like Iraq. These are kids in Iraq. They're playing marbles. They're having fun. In India, here, these kids are in India. They're playing marbles. I'm American. When I was a kid, we played marbles in America. All over the world, probably in Korea, you can see kids sometimes playing marbles. Can you? I'm interested in that. Yeah, maybe you can tell me. Do you play marbles in Korea? But marbles are played all over the world in many different countries. You can play marbles indoors. You can play marbles outdoors. Indoors means inside your house, inside your school, inside any building where there are walls and there's a ceiling. Inside, indoors. You can play marbles indoors. Or you can play marbles outdoors, outside, right? So there's a sky above you. It's a sunny day. You're in the park. You're in your backyard. You're at the school playground. You can play marbles on any flat ground. The ground must be flat. What does that mean, flat? It can't be like this. This is not flat. It has to be flat. Why? Because if you shoot the marble on a flat surface, the marble goes and then stops. But on a surface that's not flat, you shoot the marble and it keeps going. You have to run after it. You don't want to do that. Okay? So any flat ground, the flat ground here or the flat ground here, you can play marbles. Okay? So be careful. The ground has to be flat. Did you know an interesting fact? The first glass marbles were made in Italy. Right? Before we talked about how are marbles made, we learned that marbles today are often made from glass. The first glass marbles were made in Italy. They first started to be made in Italy when they were made more than 1,000 years ago. Wow, again, a really long time. 1,000 years ago, that's the 10th century, right? Or the 11th century in Italy, right? So a long time ago. It's after the Romans, about 500 years after the Roman Empire. But in the Middle Ages, in Italy, people made glass marbles. And they started playing with glass marbles because it's cheaper than marble, the stone that we talked about earlier. Okay, but they started in Italy, and of course marbles were already being played in many places, but glass marbles then became popular, and people all over the world, people everywhere play marbles. Okay, how do you play marbles? We talked about playing marbles, but what's the game? How do you play? What are the rules? Let's find out in this subject, playing marbles. How can you play marbles? There are many games. Here is one game. It's one game, but there are many games. Maybe you can look on the internet and find other games. But let's talk about one game. Here is one game you can play with marbles. First, draw a circle on the ground. So you draw a circle on the flat ground. Draw a circle. Each player puts 10 marbles inside the circle. In this case, we have 2 players. So this player puts 10 marbles in the circle. This player puts 10 marbles in the circle. How many marbles? 20 marbles, right. But you could play with 3 players, then another 10, that's 30 marbles. 4 players, 40 marbles. Make a bigger circle, okay? So you have many marbles in the circle. So, everybody has 10 marbles in the circle. Now what? Shoot 1 marble at another player's marble. Shoot. Remember the picture of the boy on the cover of the book? Look back real quick. See that boy? He's like this, right? He's shooting the marble. If you put the marble on your finger there and with your thumb, you shoot the marble, you can make that marble go fast. It will hit another marble, right? Try to hit it out of the circle. If you do, try to hit another one out. So you shoot your marble at one of these marbles. If you hit it out of the circle, yeah, you get to do it again. Shoot and hit another marble out of the circle. That's if you hit it. If you miss, it's the next player's turn. It is the next player's turn. So the player who hits the most out wins. The most marbles out wins. The player who hits the most out wins. The most what? The most marbles. We don't have to say marbles there. It's okay. We know they're talking about marbles. The person who hits the most out wins. So that sounds like a good game, right? If I'm playing the game, it's my turn first. I try to shoot the marbles. I hit 1 marble out. Yeah, I go again. I hit another marble out. Yeah, I go again. Shoot, I miss. Oh no. It's the other person's turn. Then they shoot the marbles. Okay? If you shoot the most marbles out, if I shoot out 8 marbles and the other person shoots out 6 marbles, I win. Okay? So it's how many? Well, of course, you have to have 20 marbles. That only adds up to 14. So another 6 marbles. Maybe another player hit 6 marbles. But the person who hits the most marbles out, they win. Okay? Now, sometimes people keep the marbles that they hit out of the circle. It's up to you how you play it. Maybe you don't want to lose your marbles. Okay? Don't lose your marbles. Okay. Some people play in marble contests. It's like a contest, and there's like a big tournament. Many people play together, and they try to shoot the marbles out. And he's very serious. He's wearing a uniform. He has pads on his knees, because you have to be on your knees, so maybe apayo. He's protecting his knees, and look, he's getting ready. He's got the marble in his hand, and he's going to use his thumb and shoot that marble out. He just shot it out right there. See, and there's his thumb. And he shot the marble. There goes the marble. Okay, so that's a fun game. It's a good game to play. You can play it inside. You can play it outside, right? All you need is 2 people. If you have 3 people, no problem. Just put more marbles in the circle. Who can shoot the most marbles out of the circle? It's a fun game. Let's take a break here. We'll see you next time. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Let's continue talking about marbles. Now, marbles is a fun game, and you can see that there are many types of glass marbles, also stone marbles, right? If you find a really special marble, you want to keep it. Or if you find a very beautiful or pretty marble, you want to keep it. Maybe you have many marbles. You can collect marbles. So let's talk about collecting marbles, getting many marbles together. Of course, you can collect many things. You can collect marbles. You can collect stamps. You can collect bottle caps. You can collect different types of bottles. You can collect many different things. Of course, you can collect coins. Stamps and coins, many people collect those. But you can also collect marbles. Why? There are many different kinds of marbles. There are many different kinds of stamps. There are many different kinds of coins. People like to collect those. They are not just made of glass. Not just glass marbles, right? We talked about marbles, right? The marbles made of stone. But what other kinds of marbles are there? Let's find out. Some are made of clay. Whoops. Some are made of clay. So they're made of clay. Clay is like mud, but it's mud that you take, and when the mud gets dry, it gets hard, almost like a stone, right? So some things are made of clay. And of course, you can make a marble out of clay because you can make it round, right? When it's soft, it's still like mud. But you can make it of clay. Others are made of stone, and we talked about that. Marble is a very common stone, but other types of stones can be used to make marbles also. Maybe granite, which is a very hard stone. Okay, they can be big or small, right? Like I said, you can have big marbles. Sometimes marbles can be this big, but usually the typical glass marble is about that big. Some are very beautiful. Some marbles are really beautiful. Look at these marbles over here. Wow, this one's really cool looking. We'll talk about these next. And this one's kind of cool too. Which is your favorite marble? Which one do you want to have, right? There's many different designs. Many people like to collect marbles. So which marbles would you like to have in your collection? If you start collecting marbles, maybe you can find marbles like this or a different type that's also very beautiful. Now, different marbles have different names. Of course, because there's many different marbles, people will call the different types of marbles by different names. Let's look at some of these names for marbles. First one is a cat's eye. A cat's eye. That sounds kind of funny, right? But if you look at the marble, it kind of looks like a cat's eye, right? Like it looks like the eye of a cat in the middle, right? This blue part right here kind of looks like a cat's eye. Look at this one here. That's kind of cool looking. That has many different splotches. It has swirls. Swirl is like these lines here, like the swooping lines, almost like cream or ice cream. And then it has the spots also. We call that LUTs. LUTs. Here, this is called onion skin. Onion skin. Think about an onion. Take an onion and look at it, but be careful, right? You might cry, but just look at the onion. The onion has many layers, right? It has many different layers, so it kind of looks like this. Not as colorful, right? The marble is very colorful. The onion is just white, but it's kind of the same pattern, so people call it onion skin. This might be a little hard to pronounce. Agate, agate, agate. It's an agate marble. This one also, onyx, red onyx, right? It's red, mostly red, but you see the pattern, the design. It's very beautiful. It has all these swirls on it. Swirls are these patterns. It's mostly red, so you call it red onyx. If it was mostly blue, it would be blue onyx, right? So you can have different colors, but that type of pattern. Look at this one here. This is now these ones are probably just accident. They just made by the machine randomly. But this one, somebody painted it, right? And that's very special. We call that china. So it has some kind of design on it. Somebody put a pattern or design on it of a flower, usually a flower or maybe a bird or something like that. Just call it china. It's a china marble. And of course, marbles are fun. Look at all these different types of marbles people have, and there are some different games you can play with marbles. So marbles are really great. They're really fun to play with. But remember, don't lose your marbles, okay? Try not to lose your marbles. Hold on to your marbles. Okay, the last page is the index. Remember, I talked about this at the beginning of the lesson. I said an index is a list of interesting words, a list of people's names if we're talking about people, or places, right? It's a list of these things in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, E, right? A, B, C, D, E, right? It's in alphabetical order, and it shows you the page number where you can find that thing. So the first item, the first thing in our index is clay marbles. We want to know, oh, clay marbles, those are special. Not glass, not stone, but clay. Where did we read about clay marbles? Where was that in the book? It was on page 10. Okay, so an index is a very good tool. It's very useful. We talked about Egyptians. What page? Page 2. We talked about games, many different kinds of games. We talked about games on page 2 and page 8. We talked about games. So the two places in the book we talked about games were pages 2 and pages 8. Look at the next one, glass marbles. There was a lot in the book about glass marbles, right? How they are made, right? And also some types of glass marbles. So how they are made, that was pages 4 to 6, because we talked a lot about glass marbles, right? The first glass marbles were made in Italy. How are glass marbles made? They're made from broken glass. You melt it, then it goes in a machine, and it makes a round glass marble. And then we also talked a little bit about marbles on page 10. So glass marbles was a big subject in the book. We talked about machines, pages 4 to 5, right? Machines are used to make glass marbles, so these pages are similar, right? So pages 4 to 5, we talked about machines, and we talked about stone marbles on pages 3 and pages 10. So an index in some books, not every book has an index, not every book has an index, but some books have indexes, especially books about important facts or important things that you read about, like history or maybe geography, right? These are interesting subjects, or you know, some adventure story about somebody that really lived. In many of these books, you have an index. You can go back and find, oh, I remember that, but where in the book was it? Go to the index. You can find it very quickly. Okay, that wraps up our lesson about marbles. So if you don't play marbles, think about it. Maybe ask your mom or ask your dad, hey, can I get some marbles? I want to play with my friends. Get your friends to play marbles. It's a fun game. We saw in the book about how to play marbles, one game, but there are many other games you can play with marbles. So if you do start playing marbles, have fun. Okay? I hope you've learned a lot about marbles. Maybe you've learned a new and fun activity to do with your friends. That wraps it up for today. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.